Hello. Today there is a reason to talk a little bit, and I will start from the kind of broad statement. And I've been on the record for many years, and I'm talking like many years, way more than 10 years, but since the start of my blog 8 years ago, so basically I've been on it non-stop. In fact, opening articles in my blog, which are going back to 2014, they are writing I wrote extensively on the value of OODA loop by Colonel Boyd, which is observe, orient, decide, act. It's how you act in pretty much any kind of situation, but primarily in the military ones, but it applies everywhere. It is all about the, so to speak, frequency of this loop. And the high frequency of this loop, especially observe and orient, the better chances for you on victory, however we define the victory in whatever engagement we are involved. And those two OOs, observe and orient, are extremely crucial. And from the get-go then, from 2014 actually, if you go back to my blog, I started to write about the fact that, my gosh, the situation with Western elites is bad. I mean, really, really bad. I knew it was bad, and I knew they were not very well educated, and especially not very well, I mean, in terms of human qualities, they're just not the kind of people who can say to oneself, go to the mirror, say, hey, I'm not good enough, I have to do something and something to improve myself. Well, as life showed, for the last 8 years, I was too generous. I was more on myself because I thought that, hey, at least some people there are, just smart and all that. Since then, you know what happened. And we had Obama and his cabal of neocons and his quote-unquote assessment of the so-called strategies of the United States on the world arena. And we had Trump, who, oh God, I don't want to go there. And now we have the guy who doesn't even remember his name, and he is not sure what state he is in, like state like Iowa or, Massachusetts. So he doesn't even know where he is most of the time. That's the Western, so to speak, elites. Well, now the foreign secretary, or whatever the hell the title of this in the United Kingdom, for this state, Department of State, whatever, for Commonwealth, or, Liz Truss afflicted Moscow with her visit. Well, it was a disaster. But it was a disaster not in a sense for Russia. Russia doesn't care, really, whatever UK does. It's a pipsqueak of a country anymore, and it really doesn't matter what UK says or does. But the point is that this important British government official from the administration of Mr. Bodger, she didn't know simple things. And she obviously stunned the world by lack of any comprehension of basic knowledge of basic facts, which any middle schooler knows after the couple of lessons of geography. I mean, it is the thing with geography in the West. I don't know what is this. I don't know, do they dumb down there, or do they extract DNA and specific chromosomes or whatever you call it, those molecules, and they change something that basically the whole goddamn Western political establishment, or most of it anyway, they don't know basic geography. And again, make no mistake, before I go and continue comment on this Liz Truss lady, let me remind you, it's in my blog if you want to just dial or type Mr. Blank. And this is the guy who taught in, and still teaches, I believe, in U.S. Army War College, teaches in some other universities, and he has a PhD in Russian studies. The guy offered to send America's combat ships into the Azov Sea. And of course, he didn't know that average depth of the Azov Sea is 7.5 meters, while average mainstay of the U.S. naval power, destroyer of the Arleigh Burke class, has a draft of 9.5 meters. So again, the guy seriously thought that, yeah, we need to send that thing, to demonstrate to, Russians how serious we are. Yeah, how do you send it there? Attach wheels, or I don't know, on the skids, or somebody gonna be pulling them into the 20 by 20 miles square within the Azov Sea, where the depth is slightly above 10 meters. So these are the kind of scholars, quote unquote, who run the whole show. Again, if you want to see their complete, madness and feeble-mindedness, just look up Mr. McFall, who was no less the ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Moscow for a while. The guy destroyed relations, and he was, honestly laughed at. He was ignorant, and he passes for scholar in the United States. Well, now Liz Truss. And if she thought that Baltic states are located on the Black Sea, that was half of it. She embarrassed United Kingdom's ambassador to Moscow, another lady, but evidently more literate than she is. She probably can read some books, like Little Engines and Could and something like that, I don't know, syllables. And she had to really correct her in her meeting with Lavrov when Liz Truss stated that we will never recognize Russia's sovereignty over such cities as Rostov-on-Don and Voronezh. Ambassador had to intervene to explain to her and, correct her that actually Voronezh and Rostov-Don have been historically in Russia forever, since the inceptions. And they have been basically created by Russians. And but again, so I don't know how even comment on this. Jen Psaki used to say that, Voronezh Mountains and Rostov Mountains, both cities are located in a completely flat spaces of Russian steppes, or prairies, basically. But how do you even communicate with those people? So Liz Truss created an unmitigated disaster. I am really sorry. It's my condolences to Mr. Lavrov that he has to, and other people from Russian Foreign Ministry who have to tolerate this, who have to look at these idiots. They are literally imbeciles. And these people, my friends, are, I wouldn't say how large the majority, but I would tell you for sure it is a majority. I don't know what it is, 65%, 60%. These are the people who run the combined West today. They know nothing, they are good for nothing, and most of them, they are either American Ivy League or Oxford in Great Britain products. It is a catastrophe of the American and Anglo-American humanities education because it produces imbeciles. People who are so ignorant that you cannot even communicate to them any basic things. Obviously, Liz Truss wanted to explore the possibility to look like Margaret Thatcher, repeating her basically clothing, with the fur hat and all that, walking on the Red Square. She doesn't understand, obviously, and that's the other thing which is very difficult to really convey, that she looks like a clown, for crying out loud, apart from the fact that majority of the Russians today, they have no love or appreciation of the West. And unless this Annalena Baerbock, or whatever her name, of the foreign minister of, or whatever other European diplomacy representative who threatened Putin with his inability to shop in Paris, these people are literally morons. Literally. Actually, many people go shopping in Moscow and St. Petersburg nowadays, including from Europe. But, okay, if they think that the buying overpriced crap with the brand names somehow makes people happy, well, they have issues, But make no mistake, this again, as I said, this is not just one or two cases. This is a trend. This is what is this all about, modern West. And as my friend, remote friend Pepe Escobar, he brutalized Mr. Macron. Well, actually, Macron was brutalized by everybody. But Pepe Escobar wrote a wonderful summation of the visit of Macron to Moscow. And here it is. It is absolutely astute and, just absolutely perfect distillation of everything what is happening. Mr. Macron went to Moscow to see Mr. Putin with a simple four-stage plan in mind. First, clinch a wide-ranging deal with Putin on Ukraine, thus stopping, quote-unquote, Russian aggression. Number 2, bask in the glow as the West peacemaker. 3, raise the EU's tawdry profile as he is the current president of EU Council. 4, collect all the spoils, then back the April presidential elections in France. Perfect. And Pepe uses absolutely appropriate term describing this whole situation, tawdry. And there are people who say, oh yeah, well, we shouldn't underestimate Macron. I'm not talking about Scholz, who have been humiliated out of his mind in Washington, D.C. by Biden, and have been properly shown his place of the lapdog, or Germany as a lapdog of the United States. But Macron, for all his attempts to supposedly solve the crisis, the same as Mr. Sarkozy allegedly did in 2008 after Russian-Georgian war, one thing should be clearly stated about this. Those people, they can do only two things, and I'm on the record. They can do elections or re-elections. That means they learn, they literally memorize the amount of bullshit they have to brainwash with the electorate, and of course never deliver on that anyway. And secondly, they can do it only PR. That means whatever they do, it's not done for the substance, for achieving the result. It is done for show off. It is done for TV picture. It is done for basically subservient to the point number one, to be elected or re-elected. And then they go into those governing or legislative positions and produce absolutely nothing. And in this case, people say, oh yeah, Macron maybe have some plans for Europe. Well, he can have anything he wants. He doesn't have the ability to govern. And West is in itself now, not just the United States, which is ungovernable, but West is ungovernable as is, because yeah, you have people like Bojo, or you have people like Truss. This is a bunch of morons, pardon my French, who won't be able to run a goddamn 7-Eleven store or paid restroom in some third world shithole because they literally have not. I mean, come on, let's face it. Boja has degree in freaking English literature. What do you expect from them? And then, of course, you get to the more or less complex subject of geography, which, you have to have knowledge of maps, Mercator projection, or globes and distances, ranges, and all the thing, and they fail miserably. They are that ignorant. Are there normal people there? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I told you last video that, yeah, there are probably some people who, we can say that they understand, but what are you gonna do? The social demand, the social order of the time today is to get those mediocrities. Well, mediocrity is an insult to mediocre people. What we get are not even mediocrities. We literally have imbeciles getting to the places of power, and they legislate and they pretend to govern. As a result, everything just being destroyed, and, well, we know where West is today, economically and power-wise. Which brings me to another point which we need to kind of discuss, and this is also important, and for people who think that they know the West, resign yourself to the fact there are sanctions from hell will be introduced for Russia. United States is desperate because, and again, due to basically imbeciles. If anybody thinks that Victoria Nuland and her hubby Robert Kagan are smart people, I mean, guys, go and check yourself. They are one-trick ponies. They failed in 2014. They repeat it now this time, and sanctions will be introduced. And they are not about Russia. United States cannot do anything about Russia realistically, and it cannot fight it because Russia will just basically, annul the United States as a country. But it is all about Europe. And judging by the signals coming from both US Congress and obviously Biden's so-called administration, you can expect them pretty soon because obviously Russia, as always, doesn't go into Ukraine. I mean, those morons don't understand. Russians don't want Ukraine. They abhor Ukraine. They don't want to feed this crowd. They don't want to, keep this country supplied with anything. I mean, if Ukraine pays money, hey, Russians will provide services. But other than that, and of course, yeah, their strategy, quote unquote, and again, Washington, D.C. doesn't do strategy. They cannot do that. They are not educated enough. They live in the delusional world, a make-believe world of America's greatness. And there was time of America's greatness, not anymore. And they will introduce sanctions because cutting out Europe from Russian energy supplies, primarily, but from other points of view too, is crucial for United States survival because that's how they think. Obviously, it's also wrong, but they think, and I said that many times, including in my videos, that to a degree, plan makes sense. Yeah, if you live the way United States lives, you need to always consume somebody or something. So yeah, let's cut off the Russian supplies. Let's kill Nord Stream 2, okay. And as even Bundestag people in Germany say, yeah, killing Nord Stream 2 is killing Germany's chemical industry. Once Germany's chemical industry is killed, you have the other industries killed in Germany, and that's what United States wants. Because guess what? It opens the markets. Obviously, they do not calculate in the United States, in DC, and those think tankers that will bring already declining standard of living and ability to pay in Europe even lower. So it's going to be always diminishing results and diminishing returns on those strategies. But they don't understand it because they don't learn about real economy. And so as the result, United States will have a little bit more time to consume Europe and thus maybe prolong agony. And maybe even have some chance on the at least partial reindustrialization. And so that's the plan. Simple as that. Now Russian analysts, they say, do Europeans understand that? Well, some do. But they cannot do nothing. And again, you have to understand, 90% of the current elites, look at Truss, look at Bojo, these are America's products or globalist products of education. So, and in this case, so I'm not optimistic about the fate of Europe, but again, hey, don't quote me on that. And I will be glad to be mistaken. I would love to eat my hat, if I'm wrong. So, and this is one of the cases, say, hey, God bless, my wrong decision to be wrong, so it's just the way it is. I don't know how else to formulate it. So, and yes, expect the obviously sanctions from hell, and Russia and China forming the being formed, huge Eurasian market without Europe. Those people from Europe who, like Viktor Orban, who understand where it is all going, yeah, they will come to Moscow, they will talk, and they will get the good deals, and they will, basically secure their survival in what is coming. I mean, it's catastrophe already. It's unfolding as we speak. So, but that's what I wanted to talk about today, especially after this hilarious, it's hilarious, poor Lavrov. Poor Russian foreign ministry talking to imbeciles. It's trying, That is why Lavrov is a chain smoker. That's why he is forced to deal with big shots quote unquote, from United States, from United Kingdom, from France, and he has to smoke because this is the only way you can do this. In probably in the worst case scenario, somebody would have started to smoke pot or do cocaine just to survive this goddamn thing. But you know, Lavrov is extremely cultured man and tough one, so he just smokes. You know, just probably good cigarettes. I don't know which ones he smokes, but you know, that's the way to do it. That's how you basically deal with the stress of communicating with imbeciles. And imbeciles they are. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. And as always, please subscribe. And those who can afford, support me on Patreon. And I will be making more videos about this pretty soon. And that's it for today, guys. Have a nice, whatever, the rest of your week. I'm probably gonna talk to you a little bit later too. So bye-bye.